Adults of Reddit, what is something you really regret doing as a teenager? Thinking social status in high school matters. Going to college literally resets your slate. As a senior, this is very uplifting. Oh, I have plenty of things I regret, but while this one's lame, it matters. Anything involving extremely loud noises without hearing protection. Concerts, clubs, raves, motorcycle riding. I'm not talking about those situations where you think it's kinda loud, but those ones where you're standing in front of the speaker stack thinking, geez, this will probably damage my hearing. Spoiler, it does. For you young punks out there who think you're too cool for earplugs, or think I'll never go deaf, just Google tinnitus. I know a lot of middle-aged tough guys who readily admit they live with the constant ringing noise in their ears. How they don't all go insane I'll never understand. Deafness, to them, would be great compared to tinnitus. Not brushing my teeth led to a root canal at age 18, accompanied by some of the most intense pain I've ever felt in my life. And I now have 5 crowns. That's fun. Seriously, no matter how well I've obsessed over dental hygiene in my 20s on with teeth, the past will always come and bite you in the ass. It can't bite you in the ass if it has no teeth. Obsessing over my crush. What a waste of my precious time and energy. I can't agree more. It feels so relevant because of infatuation at the time, but thinking back, I feel so guilty for wasting time and not moving on. I moved after elementary and ended up going to a middle school where almost no one knew who I was. I was the bully target in elementary and was desperate to escape becoming one at this new place. This girl, let's call her Anna, was the school punching bag and I picked on her so I could fit in. In 8th grade she survived a suicide attempt and ended up listing me and 2 others as her primary abusers. Our school had some serious issues, gangs, drugs, and physical assault on an almost daily basis. The principal didn't think someone getting their feelings hurt was a priority, so he just gave me lunch detention for a month. But I never forgave myself. Someone almost died because I was too goddamn pathetic to be myself. After that, she got bullied even worse by the other 2, but when I refused to partake I was put on the crap list as well. I got a big taste of my own medicine. Stress. I look back on some of the crap I stressed about and laugh. Thinking that the gangster, drug dealing, party lifestyle was cool just got me hooked on and homeless and hopeless at a young age, and even though I am now sober, I always feel like I'm years behind my peers. Plus it's a literal daily struggle to stay sober. That's not something you think about when it's all fun and games. Before it gets way too real, you don't think about sitting in jail sick, or wanting to die because you can't stop getting high, or the terrible things you will do or that can happen to you. It's just fun, until it's not. But then again I really have absolutely no clue who I would be had I not been through what I have. So I'm really on the fence about calling it regret. Some days I would absolutely call it regret. Some days I realize how much stronger it's made me. I fought with my mom a lot. I'm now about to graduate college, and my deepest regret in life so far is not listening to her while I was still home. Now that I'm completely on my own, I have screwed up many times, and each I've come back crawling to her more times than I can count just for her to give me the advice I rejected as a teenager. Sharing personal information online. I never got stalked or anything, but nowadays some of that stuff still exists. I even put up stories I wanted to one day publish. Nothing comes of it now, but all it takes is one person with a vendetta against me to find out what stupid 15-year-old me thought. I wish I wasn't so quiet. I had plenty of opportunities to have had a good friend group and even a boyfriend or 2. I just let her get the best of me and made me think that no one liked me or cared about me. In reality, I didn't like me enough to let myself have friends. I should have gone out, I should have talked to people, and I shouldn't have been afraid. However, it has made me a better person now. I appreciate the people in my life a lot more, and I have learned to be confident in myself. If I could repeat high school I'd go back and not treat it as seriously as I thought and just have fun with it. I regret that I was overly concerned what other people thought of me and completely ignored my studies. Even though I still think much of it was bulls. If I had just applied myself, I would have had so many more career options and better critical thinking skills when I was in my 20s. It took me 20 more years to finally get to that point. Oh man, back at university in my 30s and I definitely feel this. Pussyfooting around my crushes and not just telling them how I felt. To those of you still in high school, just freaking go for it. It's high school. Pretty much everything is transient. And besides, high school is far from the deep end. Just take the plunge. Really want to take this advice, but at this point, I'm a senior and probably going out of state for college, so I don't really see the point. Getting pregnant. It makes life harder than necessary when you are that young and not ready. Not investing in Bitcoin. I thought it was ludicrous, but this kid convinced me to put at least a $5 into it. A few years later I cashed out and made about £700. This kid put over £200 in. At 22 he owns an SME. I put a $5 into it, back when it was almost worthless. I then proceeded to lose track of the wallet. I still have no idea where my Bitcoin wallet went. It's probably on some old disused hard drive, assuming I haven't already formatted it. Getting a memorial tattoo for my mom while she was on her deathbed in a coma. I was too emotionally freaked up to design it right. She never even saw it, and I strongly dislike it now. I love my other tattoo, which I worked on perfecting for months before I got it. So I'm not opposed to teens getting tattoos in general, but make 100% sure not to do it while emotionally compromised. General advice: don't do a tattoo that will make you sad every time you look at it. Not forward thinking and planning for my future. I just wasted so much time. I wish I had tried harder in school. I wish I had started saving as soon as I got a job. I wish I had learned to drive sooner, and I wish I had let myself be myself. I really wish I hadn't put so much stock in the YOLO you might die tomorrow so live for today mentality. That kind of thinking can really freak up your future. There needs to be a balance. Suffering from this now sucks. At age 17, way too young, tying myself to the person who would eventually become my husband, and allowing my entire, still forming identity to exist for and revolve around him. I thought I was happy. I believed I knew who I was and was fully aware of the potential outcomes of what I was doing, but I was wrong. At least about some of the important parts. For my own growth and development's sake, it would have been so much healthier if I had been legitimately single for a few years, just to prove to myself that not only am I capable of living on my own, but I actually like living alone and having total freaking autonomy to do whatever I want to do however I want to do it. I spent 20 years believing I couldn't make it alone because I had never tried. That decision is what I regret most about my teenage years. My advice for younger girls is to stay single, at least. For the first year out of high school you do so much maturing in that year, and it's when you really grow up. I punched a teacher and I am so incredibly sorry. I very well behaved until I was sexually assaulted by a friend's mom's boyfriend. I was too afraid and ashamed to tell anyone because he got me high and I thought I'd be in trouble for smoking weed. I was 14. I became disruptive, bullied other girls in my school, got physically violent with my parents, nearly flunked out of high school, and ultimately lost my 20s to drugs and alcohol. He really tried to reach out to me and I got the wrong impression and lashed out at him. In our conference he told me he wasn't angry with me and I refused to apologize. He quit after that year and I know it was because I had made him into a joke at the school. I'm in my 30s, have been clean for 5 years. See my psychiatrist and counselor religiously and have a lovely fiance. I'm about to finish my BSW and move on to grad school. My best friend is a teacher. My brother teaches on a reservation, and I wholeheartedly support anyone that goes into that profession. I have thought about reaching out to him to apologize, but I don't want to cause him any more pain than I did 17 years ago. It is seriously my biggest regret. He was such a caring person. I think if it'd make you feel better, you should do it. If he wasn't angry with you then, he won't be angry now. In fact, he'll probably be happy to hear how well you're doing. Leaving my original Nintendo and games at an ex-boyfriend's house. Starting to smoke. You know what gets me about smoking? And I'm going to tell my daughter, no one ever tells you that you might actually like it. When you're a kid and smell someone smoking, it stinks to high heck. Smells like an ashtray, right? But you taste it. You actually smoke yourself, and it's different somehow. Thinking I was grown up and hanging around with older boys. I was 13 and they were anything from 17 to 27. I was taken advantage of and had no idea at the time. I might have known a lot about sex, but I knew nothing about emotions or growing up. Yep, in my case I just wanted to be loved, and people took advantage of that. Things got pretty bad for a bit. I hope you're in a better place now. Turned down an athletic scholarship to play football. Would have stayed in great shape and gotten out of college with no debt. I sucked dong for $20.35 during high school. Not taking school seriously. I lucked out and got into a good university, but doing well at that good university was really hard for me the first year because I didn't have any of the skills I needed to succeed. Writing good, quality papers, researching, even studying, and ended up with a 2.27 GPA due to it. Currently a senior with a 3.13, but it hasn't been easy recovering. Even if you don't plan on attending a college university, school is still important because it teaches you practical life skills, such as time management and working with others in a civil manner. And consider going to a trade school if you don't want to do the whole college thing. Trades are very important, but people stress going to college so much that high school students often forget that trade school is even an option. If your passion is welding or carpentry or something of the like, you can go to trade school and make your passion your career. Probably losing my virginity at 13. Was really into the person but not really into having sex. Ended up happening anyways after lots of pleading. Broke up with me over the phone the next morning and I've never seen them since. Kind of messed me up for a while. Luckily my next experience 5 years later was much better. So much this. I lost my virginity to my boyfriend at 13 and he dumped me a few days later. I was gutted. Really sent me off the rails for a few years. Smoking cigarettes. Seriously, not even once. I spent so much time waiting for something to happen, like sitting on some steps outside of a house waiting for something to happen, hanging out with people I did not really like waiting for something to happen. I feel like so much time was wasted waiting for something to happen, instead of doing something or making things happen. Lots of things. Not taking school seriously, general jacassery, not saving money in a Roth IRA. Then telling your kids to take school seriously and them ignoring it, and then they tell your grandkids to study seriously and they ignore, and then they tell your great grandkids. Not telling my parents to buy stock in Apple or Amazon. Oh, and fracturing my hip. I told my parents to invest in Google, but they didn't listen. Being in such a rush to lose my virginity and be sexually active. Let's be honest, 16-year-old girls have no freaking idea what they're doing. Fapping was probably more enjoyable. Ability of 16-year-old girls to provide me with a mind-blowingly pornographic sexual experience, negligible. Ability of 16-year-old girls to effortlessly decimate my self-esteem and confidence, very high. You're right, man. I should have just stayed home and learned a skill or a language or something for all the good chasing tail ever did me. SMH. Self-harmed here and there in high school. The antidepressants made me feel nothing and I wanted to at least feel something. I wish I never did and wish I found out that some of my medication conflicted and possibly caused some of my self-harm tendencies. Now I go every day feeling emasculated and hoping that, when I manage to find a girlfriend, that she won't think less of me or stuff like that. Probably not going to be a popular one, but I regret smoking so much weed when I was young. Not that it wasn't fun, it was, but I really did slack off a lot, to the point where I was letting a lot of people down, including myself. I don't know what else I would have actually accomplished had I not smoked so much, but just the feeling of letting people down because of my own laziness is something I can't shake. Not being physically active enough. I used Tumblr religiously throughout high school, 2011 to 2015, and I really sort of see it as a double-edged sword. It became a crutch for my social anxiety. Sure, being in this community of like-minded people was a huge confidence boost for me, but beyond that screen I was still awkward and lonely. I feel I could have gotten over my problems better if I had ripped my nose away from my screen and made some more friends. I only did that towards the tail end of my senior year and into college when I finally got off that website, and it's really kind of sad to me. And now you're on Reddit. Drugs makes school hard. 2 biggies. 1. Talking my way out of going into foster care to return to my abusive family. 2. Getting married to escape my family. Not doing better in high school, but I did okay in college, so I regret caring as much as I did. Always caring about how others viewed me, my friends, teachers, family, etc. I spent so much time worrying about how people perceived things that I said or did, whether they might take offense if I say I didn't want to do something, etc., that I forgot to ever really consider how I felt in all of it. Being a tattletale really bit me in the ass. I was the awkward loner type that was depressed and made friends with teachers. Believed in the if you're being bullied, tell an adult, until I finally learned after too many years that you gotta stand up to the bullies. Now I kick ass. Being such an angry person. Angry at my dad because he was a jerk to us kids. Getting a protection order against him. Joining the army because I wanted to die and wouldn't do it myself. Not taking my medication. Bipolar. Not lightening the heck up. Wish I would have built up more self-esteem and confidence. More like regret not doing. I was religiously raised and sheltered as a kid and went to a lot of different schools, so when I got to my teens I didn't really have any close friends or knew how to keep them. The same applied to girls. Creating this username. Whenever I respond to someone on Reddit they're like lololol. Okay teenage sadist. Lololol. Okay teenage sadist. Racking up credit card debt. I regret not caring about my education and future and caring more about doing drugs. Using SparkNotes for my senior year English homework assignments out of laziness and then lying about it. When I got confronted by my teacher, I lied about it, was promptly caught, and because my school had a zero tolerance policy on cheating, I was immediately suspended and not allowed to walk for my graduation. Looking back, I feel like the punishment was a bit ridiculous over a pass-fail homework assignment during the last few weeks of senior year. Nevertheless, I still regret it. Spent my younger life partying and hanging with lowlives. I started getting my life together in my mid-20s and those people are not around or are burned out. I would have been a lot further along had I had taken life serious sooner. This pirate hamster is here to steal all of your she's. Subscribe in 2.15 seconds or he'll do it. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check out another video. Or don't. Either way, have a great day you magnificent people.